everybody, and thank you for coming today, this morning. Actually, it is pretty hard to get to Zorlu by foot. Did you use any car or taxi? Who of you came here by car or taxi? Raise your hands. Almost everybody, and I am as well, because I woke up on the other side of this big junction, and it's pretty difficult to walk through these tunnels. So, my name is Mikhail Vysokovskiy, and I'm ruling a product team of Yandex Navi in Moscow. I actually came here only yesterday evening from Moscow, and in Moscow, it is winter. It's not that kind of winter right now, because I like this kind of winter. In Moscow, it is, well, more like kind of this winter. Last week, it was really a lot of snowing, but yesterday it was already fine. They took all the snow away, so now it looks more or less without the sun, but more or less similar. So these cars are Yandex self-driving cars, and you can already go to 2 villages in Russia, just open the Yandex Taxi application and order self-driving cars, and they will take you to the point that you like inside this small village. That is fantastic, and this is about the future that Yandex as a big company goes to, and we're the #1 biggest company that makes self-driving cars in Europe. But today, we're still using the normal wheel. Yeah, I'm driving every day to my office. And today, navigation is still our big part and big priority for us. Of course, most of our market, and our first market is Russia, is 73% of our monthly active users. But Turkey is the second biggest market for us. It's 20% of our monthly users. So, well, Turkey matters for us. It's really a big thing. That's why I'm here, and that's why I regularly come to Turkey and try driving here, which is a bit different from Moscow. So we're pretty big here. We have only 2.7 million monthly usage. This is only in Istanbul, which is like 95% of all registered cars in Istanbul, and in the whole Turkey we have something like 4 and something million monthly active users. So this is a lot. We're a big product. A lot of people use us on everyday life. And several years ago, when we've been starting, we've started with an application for unknown routes, where you go to a unknown shopping mall, or to a hospital that where you go first time, or to some other place. You just don't know where to go because there are a lot of bridges, not a lot of bridges, 3 or how many you have, a lot of other roads, so you need to just find your way there, and that was Yandex Navi several years ago. When you don't know where to go, you use Yandex Navi. But then we've transformed to help you on your regular known routes, on your routine routes from home to office, on your like things that you do every day. This helps with traffic jams, with speed limits, with speed cameras, and with road alerts. For example, there is an accident here, or there is roadworks here, the things that change every day. So navigation is not something like static that you can make 1 year ago and say, this is a navigator, just don't touch it because it works. It's something that is changing every day. The map itself is changing. You can also go to Yandex Map Editor and edit the map. And of course, speed limits and all this stuff is changing every day. But now we're making a next step for that. We're trying to make a product for everything about the driving experience, not just navigation. You sit in the car, you need some music, you need to talk to somebody, you need to refuel, for example, or you need to fire in the parking lot, etc. We try to cover the whole scenario. In Russia, of course, this is our biggest market. We're a bit closer to that. You can already go to a gas station and just refuel using Yandex Navi without exiting the car. You can pay for parking, etc. You can pay for traffic fines, etc. And we're coming with some of this service in Turkey as well. For example, we just launched Alisa, or Alice, how do you call it? You can already talk to her about weather or about some other stuff, or just if you're tired, you can have a small talk with her. How's the weather? How's the Zorlu Center? Blah, blah, blah. Create a route to home, etc. So this is not only about navigation. You could, of course, you can ask Alisa to create a route for your home, but it's not the only point. It's the whole experience that we're trying to make. Everything that is connected to your car, to your driving experience, we're trying to make it inside Yandex.Navi. Okay, so we're creating a product that people love, and we have a lot of people that love this product. But that's only the one hand of this product. The other hand is, after we have these people that are loving the product, we can actually give the businesses the ability to reach these drivers and to become a good partner for the businesses to combine users and businesses in our product, because drivers, well, they can pay normally, and it's an interesting audience for a lot of advertisers. So how do we go to this point? Because several years ago when Yandex.Navi started, it was only about users, and now we're trying to combine two of these big groups of interests. So basic approach is to find a win-win solution for users and businesses to keep the balance, because if we, I don't know, put a banner on top of everything, it doesn't work. It's not the way that we make money, putting a banner on top or instead of Yandex.Navi for one day. Why not? It's not the approach that we're getting here. We're trying to find a win-win, something that lies in the intersection with the interests of users and of the advertisers. This we call the native ad formats that are not on top of the user scenario, that are not instead of the user scenario, but there's the things that are integrated inside the scenario, so the user just goes as he normally do and already communicates with the advertiser. So how do we check these new ad formats that we launch? Each format that we're implementing has to pass two tests. The first one is about the impact on behavior. This is mainly run by A/B experiment. So we have more than 600 metrics. They're listed here in Russian, but I'll translate. So when we launch a new format, we of course launch it to, I don't know, 1% or 5% of users and have an experiment group and a control group and try to measure whether the behavior, the real behavior, not the attitude, but the real behavior changes or not. So the metrics are both the high level and the low level. The high level is like retention or number of driving sessions with these users. Normally, they do not change at all, and this is fine. We do not do any strange formats that change this. But besides that, we have a lower metrics like a number of users who went to the settings, because when we roll out some new, for example, ad format or some new feature, part of the users are trying to go to settings and list how can I turn that off? So that's a bad metric for us if in the experiment group more people are going to the settings screen. Another metric is, for example, time that passes from the starting of the application till the route creation, or till pressing the go button, or till the search. So we're trying to optimize this time. We don't want the user to, where is search once again? I forgot, where is the button? So we try to optimize the time from creating, from opening the app to creating the route. This is one of the things that we're doing. This is the real behavior. But sometimes users do behave normally. They use the product, but they hate it. And it's not our approach. We're trying to also measure the impact on attitude, because it's really important for us. Users is our main asset, and we want to be the product that people love. So we also measure reviews in stores and in support, and not just taking a look at these reviews. We have a regular automated chart that calculates the number of reviews per each topic on a regular basis. And if we launch some new format, we either see some differences on this chart, or we made a special survey directly for this one experimental group and one control group. And besides that, we have 1% of the users that does not see any ads at all. this is made for a long-term analysis of the impact, because it's really important for us. For example, when we launch the new format, it's like 2 weeks when we implement new format and we test it. But after that, I'm really afraid then when we see it on a year perspective, it might be different. So there is always 1% of the users that do not see ads, and we check whether format is well on the year basis as well. Okay, so a lot of basic words, but what are the formats? I'll just briefly go over, not to make it a sales speech, but just to show you what we're talking about. So the user journey inside Navi looks like that. He opens Navi, right? He searches for a destination, he creates a route, then he drives. Unfortunately, in Russia, in Moscow and Istanbul, he gets stuck in traffic. Any route that you create somehow may end up there. And finally, he finishes. So the approach here, the native ad approach, is to put our advertising into these touch points and try to cover the whole experience, not just the banner instead of loading, but to try to natively touch the user on each of these stages. Okay, so I'll just briefly go over them and discuss what are the formats. So when he opens Navi, the first thing that he sees is the cursor that shows your current location. Normally, it looks like that, but together with advertiser, we can change it to any other, like this. For example, yesterday I've been going from the airport and I've took the motorcycle. And this could be together with the advertiser. So 20% of the users already switched to non-standard, the custom cursors. So if you have, for example, a mascot of your brand, that could be a good solution for that. All right, next, a user searches for a destination. 70% of users uses this screen to find their destination. Others, 30%, either call Alice or use these suggestions. But 70% of the users still goes there. And we have a special format that integrates inside this search screen. So it's pretty easy for the user. He can click on hospitals. He'll see that. He'll click on op-ed, for example. He will see similar, but with advertising. This is pretty cool. Okay, then he creates the route. And what is here? The route could be either fast or with a lot of traffic jams, and the advertiser together with us can say, okay, this is a fast route, for example, without any traffic jams, because internet with, I don't know, Turkcell is fast or something. Or if it is a very crowded route with a lot of traffic jams, then we can say, okay, just pick up your movie, for example, when you're in a big traffic jam, or something like that. On the other hand, a better solution from my point of view, if you have if you're a retailer store or something, for example, Carrefour or Migros, that you can suggest user stop by at your shop, at your store, just on the way home. For example, when he creates the route home, if there is an advertising point just across the route, not without a big detour, just 3 or 4, 5 minutes right next to the route, then we can suggest, do you want to add it to your route? Okay, and in one button he just adds it to the route without any other stuff, other advertising, just, okay, you have it on your route, just add it. Okay, then probably you know about the format where you're driving, you see the pins that grow the, I'm sorry, yep, that grows the location awareness of the spin. By the end of the day, we make the research and ask users whether you know where this location is and where and not. And if the user sees the advertising, it is much more likely than he knows where this location is. Next, when you're stuck in traffic, the main question when you're stuck in traffic is, how long I'll be here? What is the length of the traffic? And here we can answer this question together with the brand. And this guy from Michelin says that it's 19 minutes, don't worry, but after that you can, for example, buy tires or something like that. Finally, when he finishes the route, you're almost at your location. We say, all right, finally you're finished. Thanks somebody, for example, op-ed, or someone else to get you to this route. So this is kind of branding for the whole experience when he finishes. In Russia, we're also now trying to make analytics on your ride, for example, afterwards, whether it was safe or not, whether you were good or bad driver. But the core idea here is to think of formats that together make the touch points for the whole user scenario. Not just put advertising in one place, but for the whole scenario and try to put it natively. Well, that sounds great, yeah, native advertising, not banners, but the main question here is it really effective? Anyone really sees it? Because the main question that some of our partners ask, okay, well, you're driving, you're looking at the road, you're not looking at Navi. That's stupid of putting some advertising into Navi. And that was an interesting question for us as well. And we're product managers. We used to make a lot of researches. And for that point, we also made a research. We made an eye tracking research. I thought that eye tracking is an oldie technology when you sit in the room and there is a special expensive equipment that shows directly into your eyes and you should not move because when you move the equipment just lost your eyes and it doesn't work. But somehow technology are moving, and right now you can like take sunglasses, well, special sunglasses, not like this, it is just plastic, turn it on, and then you just it's an eye tracking. I mean, looks actually like this. So normally new eye tracker glasses, they have one camera here and two cameras in here. One camera is looking forward, like I see you. So we'll, after that, can see what the users actually see. And two cameras are looking inside my eyes and trying to figure where I'm right now looking. So it looks actually like this, the results. First of all, we see the video with lines that are tracking the actual where the user is looking right now. And the second thing that we have is the heat map of where the user is looking. So we have several touch points here. The speed limits and the current speed, the next turn, the ETA, the estimated time of arrival, and the advertising right now. So how it looks like inside the video when the user drives. The points are where he's looking right now. So he marks where the traffic light is going to change to red right now. He stops here, the gas station, and now he's looking inside Navi for the route, for the next turn, and there's the point for advertising as well. So we've answered this question actually. We've measured, we had 50 guys with this special equipment driving. These were the guys with at least 3 years of experience, because it should be comfortable for them. And 42% of them really watched and see the advertising in Yandex Navi. It was visible for them. And for us, it was really interesting to compare these results to outdoor advertising. Well, because of what you're doing when you're driving, you look at the road normally, so we wanted to compare it. And it turned out that for outdoor advertising, only 7% of our group, of our users, really saw this advertising. So it turned out to be that Yandex Navi is 6 times more visible than normal advertising outdoor ones, because they're really used to use for Navi because it's a native one. They do not expect only ads. They use it for their everyday stuff, and they use it for advertising as well. And not only the visibility, but the duration of the contact is really higher here, because when you stopped on the traffic light, for example, you want to scroll for your route, and you have time to contact with the advertising here. So our approach is to integrate natively, not the banner on top, without breaking the user scenario. So if you're thinking about a business model, an ad business model for your product, try considering this native format. Or if you're looking for drivers, we are here to help you with that. Thank you so much.